Live from Waterford and Dungarvan, this is Waterford at 1 News.
Good afternoon, I'm Sinead Aherne. Today's top stories: €110 million has been approved for a massive urban regeneration project on the North Quays in Waterford. Leo Varadkar is likely to survive a motion of no confidence later. And in sport, Waterford FC's dream of playing in Europe is over for another season. The first step towards a transformed Waterford. That's how today's €110 million funding announcement for the North Quays has been described. The Cabinet this morning signed off on the record investment for Waterford and the South East. WLR's Julie Smith reports.
It's been a long time coming. A regenerated North Quays was first mooted by Martin Cullen in the late 90s, but it was the designation of the area as a special development zone in 2016 which laid the foundations for the vision, which is soon set to be realised. The 8-hectare site is set to be transformed from desolate wasteland to encompass a 15-storey hotel and conference centre, 7 storeys of office space and 300 apartments. There will also be a major tourism element and a transport hub catering for rail, bus, cyclists and pedestrians, with a link bridge connecting the North Quays site to Waterford city centre. It is those infrastructural elements that can proceed thanks to the state funding. €80.6 million is being allocated from the Urban Regeneration Fund and a further €30 million is coming from the Department of Transport. Minister for Housing and Local Government Darragh O'Brien brought the memo to Cabinet today.
It's the single biggest, I might add, urban regeneration allocation or funding that's ever been given. And I think that's really to be welcomed. And what we want to see now is moving towards its implementation. This is a great day for Waterford, no question, but this now really sets us up to deliver something really special for the area.
The Minister commended Waterford Council for a superb application. CEO of the Council, Michael Walsh, said the money is very welcome.
Very good news for Waterford, obviously. These are really significant infrastructure projects for the city as a whole, and obviously I think a lot of the focus is obviously around the North Quays, and understandably so, but these are far bigger than that in many respects, because they are, as I would see it, sort of the first step of a transformed Waterford in many respects.
The next step is the unlocking of an estimated €450 million of private investment for the development of the Mammoth project. Rob Cass is director of Falcon Real Estate Developments, the main company behind the project. He gave his reaction.
It's obviously taken a lot of time to get everyone aligned nicely, because it's a challenging project when you're combining transport, tourism, housing, jobs, offices, bridges, roads, car parks, solar. It takes a lot of communication, and but it's ready to go now, and that's the most important thing.
Hoarding will go up around the site before Christmas as the project moves to the detailed design stage, and Waterford's North Quays can come alive once again.
These Waterford politicians spoke to Damien Tiernan about the significance of the funding and what it means for the future.
This is just unprecedented. This is the biggest announcement ever for the South East, for Waterford. And I really want to thank Minister Darragh O'Brien. It's so important that we as a government deliver balanced regional development, putting Waterford where it's meant to be, to the forefront of the cities in Ireland.
Anybody who lives in Waterford knows how hard it is to access the train station as it stands. There was going to be 17 million that would have needed to be spent in order to make that current site fit for purpose, and we still would have had a substandard train station. So it was really important that people on the inside of this decision understood the actual pivotal importance of making what seems like a small and expensive move of the train station. But that's really one of the key things that unlocks the potential of this site.
And it supported then, I suppose, the policymakers, and I was fortunate to be in that position at that time to make those recommendations to Cabinet. And I think we're seeing the culmination now. Strategic Development Zone then attracted the international investors. And I think, now let's bring it to the next stage. And of course, the council itself and the councillors bought into it as well, and they brought it through the various processes to get the planning consent on the site. So there's an enormous amount of work has been done over the years behind the scenes. You're talking not just about jobs, it's also a place where people will live, a place where people will work. It brings people into Waterford. It's a game changer from many perspectives. And I think now could unlock the potential for the airport, for example, for the university. So when you look at all of those things in the round and look at them not just in isolation, I think it's all very, very positive.
The Finance Minister says it's very likely Leo Varadkar will survive a motion of no confidence later. Sinn Féin tabled a motion after the Taoiseach leaked a confidential GP contract negotiated with the IMO to a rival group of doctors. Leo Varadkar apologised in the Dáil last week for errors of judgment. But Sinn Féin says today's motion's about ending an insiders' club in Irish politics. Finance Minister Paschal Donohoe is confident Leo Varadkar will survive the vote.
I think it's very, very likely that it will be defeated. I think government TDs and those who work with Leo, I think accept two things. The first thing they accept is that the way in which this particular matter was handled fell short of the standards that Leo Varadkar has for himself. But the second thing I think they accept is that Leo has demonstrated the highest of standards in his time in public office.
Seamus Wolfe's position as a Supreme Court judge is untenable, according to Sinn Féin. The Attorney-General has been asked to advise the government on what to do amid a standoff among the judiciary. Opposition politicians have been more cautious in their comments today as potential impeachment proceedings loom, but Sinn Féin's Justice spokesperson Martin Kenny says the responsibility here is clear.
Well, we're saying that his position is clearly untenable when he has lost the confidence of his colleagues in the judiciary and the Chief Justice, and that's clearly what they have said. Now, it's up to him to come forward with a solution to this, or alternatively it's back to the people in here in the Oireachtas to come up with a solution to this, and we look forward to something progressing at least within the coming days, if not sooner.
A leading immunologist says he's slightly cautious about the announcement of a COVID vaccine as he wants to see the data from Pfizer. Professor Luke O'Neill of Trinity College Dublin says the breakthrough is remarkable. The European Union is set to sign a contract for millions of doses of the vaccine. Professor O'Neill says the company will get a full safety analysis in 2 weeks' time.
They must have looked at this to some extent. They didn't stop the trial at any point, obviously. They've got the 38,000 people have been on that trial, which is incredible. They're waiting to get to 42,000. That's the actual limit they're looking for. And then they look at all the safety you see. So we'll have that as well in the next couple of weeks, and we'll keep our fingers crossed. And then we see the data properly laid out, in a proper scientific report. That'll take another 3 or 4 weeks, I guess. Then we'll know they've made it, really.
Every county now has estimated 14-day COVID-19 incidence rate of less than 300 for the first time in 36 days. The national figure stands at 161 per 100,000 people. Here in Waterford, the incidence rate's fallen for the 11th day in a row. It's down to 137.7, the lowest rate in more than 3 weeks. Fewer than 5 cases were confirmed in Waterford yesterday. Meanwhile, the number of confirmed cases at University Hospital Waterford has fallen to 4. One suspected case was awaiting the results of COVID-19 testing last night, according to the HSE's daily operations update. Irish Water say they're investigating after a microscopic parasite called Cryptosporidium was detected in a County Waterford supply. More than 1,200 people in Kill, Ballylaneen, Bunmahon, Ballyvaden and Anstown are being asked to boil their water before use. Brian O'Leary is Irish Water Regional Operations Lead.
We've been carrying out investigations on the scheme as to why crypto was detected in the water, which would involve looking at the plant and the plant performance. Now, so far, the plant is shown to have been performing very, very well at the time, and there's nothing jumping out as to any plant malfunction or whatever, but investigations are ongoing.
ESB Networks say it'll take several more hours to repair a fault in County Waterford. 143 customers are without electricity in the Abbey-side area of Dungarvan since last night. Crews are repairing the fault and expect to have power restored at around 4:30. A status yellow rainfall warning's been issued for Waterford. 50 millimetres of rain is forecast with flooding in places, reduced visibility and hazardous driving. An alert comes into force at 6 tonight and will remain in place until 6 tomorrow.
Make the smart play with Virgin Media. Check out their smart home packages at Virgin Media, George's Street, Waterford.
Sponsors of the sports news on WLR.
Starting with soccer, where Waterford FC's hopes of playing in the Europa League are over for another year. It's after the Blues finished 5th in the Electricity League Premier Division. They were beaten away to Donegal's side Finn Harps last night. Adam Foley scored the only goal of the game. Blues manager Franny Rocket says it wasn't to be.
I couldn't ask for much more from him. I really couldn't. I thought, to a man, there was lads playing there with injuries, and then there's other lads there who probably aren't fully fit either, you know what I mean? But you're just hoping that, you can get something out of them and a break of the ball for us, but look, I think we had chances, we just didn't take them, and it wasn't to be.
In rugby, James Lowe will make his Ireland debut against Wales on Friday. The New Zealander, who qualified for his adopted country last week after spending 3 years with Leinster, goes straight into Andy Farrell's team for the Autumn Nations Cup opener. Ulster out-half Billy Burns is also in line for his first cap, having been named on the bench for Friday's game. And in greyhound racing, there'll be action at Kilcohen Park for the first time on a Tuesday. WLR's Mark Phillips has the details.
With Saturday night racing now transferred to Tuesdays for the foreseeable future, there are 12 races over the standard 525-yard strip down for decision in Kilcohen Park this evening, with the opening contest underway at 7:30. In the hope that he can build up an early lead over his opponents, Kilcash Toto is the WLR top selection when he runs from trap 3 in race 10.
Sports news on WLR is thanks to Virgin Media Waterford. WLR asks you to keep Waterford safe by staying at home and travelling for essential purposes only.